Hi everyone.
Hi everyone.
Welcome to the Purpose Driven Marriage Podcast.
God bless you.
Amen.
Welcome.
Where we model kingdom marriage God's way.
Yes.
To the glory of God, this is the podcast that you get to hear us talk about different aspects of marriage every week.
Yeah.
Share our own story.
Real talk.
And inspire you to live a kingdom marriage as well. My name is Drs Samuel Ekundayo, my wife.
Blessing Ekundayo.
Guess what? Today is a special day because so it's a joy to be doing life with her. A big joy. And she looks beautiful today, as always.
Thank you. Are you looking great too, baby?
Yeah, I love
God
you,
bless
darling. Yeah. And I celebrate you. It's a joy to celebrate you. Yeah, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Before I rub off your makeup.
Which makeup?
All right. As usual, we want to quickly use this opportunity to appreciate and thank people who are, listening and watching all our podcast episodes, the previous one. So I'll let my wife just quickly go ahead and appreciate the people who left a comment on the last one.
Yes. So last week, we talked about how we met online, our love story. If you have not watched that, please make sure you go and watch that.
Yes.
It was very fun and exciting. Yes. So those people left comments for us. This was sort of after watching the replay. So thank you so much, Techi G. Beautiful love story.
Yeah.
I use yours as a point of contact.
Amen.
For mine. Amen. And Simon and Paula Purvis, they said, loved listening to your love story, guys. My love story with my husband is similar in so many ways like yours, including meeting through the internet. Oh, nice.
Bless
you both and your lovely children. Love from Christchurch. Oh, all the way from Christchurch. That's
you,
nice.
Simon
Thank
and
you
Paula.
for leaving a comment and for watching.
Yes.
Yeah, we have Fola Oshaw said, thoroughly enjoyed listening to you both. No dull moment at all. Of course, no dull moment with us, man.
Glory to God.
May God bless and keep you both in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
We want to thank you all once again. And to those who are currently live, Yina Alibe, Wasa, our sister here from Christchurch, God bless you. And Ojo Lubumi, thank you for being live with us at the moment. Would appreciate everybody else that joins us perhaps.
Yeah, so please feel free to share this video, like this video, and leave a comment. Channel. Yeah, subscribe to the channel also. If you're going to watch in the replay, leave a comment for us. Ask your questions. We're happy to answer.
Yes, and we want to use this opportunity to acknowledge all our listeners on Spotify and every podcast platform. Thank you very much for listening to us every week, for subscribing to the podcast. If you haven't and you have a podcast medium, kindly subscribe as well, because this gets posted every single week. The same way we all watch on YouTube, it's also posted on the podcast platform. So thank you very much. Ifeoluwa, thank you very much. He's saying happy birthday to you.
Oh, thank you.
God bless you.
God bless you.
In Jesus' name. Let's jump straight into today's topic, shall we? We are talking about how to apologize correctly in marriage.
Yes.
As I've put in the show notes today, that we are imperfect beings, and marriage doesn't make us perfect, obviously. We are two people with different personalities, different backgrounds, different interests, different expectations, different different
everything, different beings.
Exactly.
Male, female.
So without a doubt, there'll be one way that would offend each other. Not even one way, many ways that will offend each other in marriage. And if we're going to have a glorious marriage, we must not let hurts and offense to linger for too long, because the Bible says we should be careful that we should not let the root of bitterness gain root. When offense linger for too long, it soon becomes bitterness and resentment. Hence, the importance of apologizing correctly in marriage. We have had our own fair share.
We have.
of strong conflict and not knowing how to apologize well.
Yeah, especially in our early days of marriage. Oh my goodness, it was not funny.
It was tough.
It was not funny because, I would apologize in a certain way, especially, after conflict, and hurts, and you just want, things.
Peace,
Yeah, you want peace and you
resolution.
want to repair, the relationship and sort of move forward, because one person feels hurt and is expecting an apology or you to acknowledge.
And he's expecting. So is that me?
And is IS. See, it's already feeling. It's already feeling. Because see, he's the one that's always expecting the apology.
No, it's just my own apology language is not straightforward.
Yeah,
which
so
we'll
he's always
later.
expecting apology. But that's actually what I meant. But maybe indirectly, that's what I meant. So one person is feeling, like if even though one has said sorry, the other person feel like you haven't actually really apologized. Is sorry really an apology? Because that was for me. If you tell me sorry, I'm sweet. We are sweet already, and let's continue. But you tell my husband I'm sorry, and he's still like, it's not enough. He still feels like you have not apologized. You have not apologized.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've apologized, but you have not apologized. I'm like, you want me to start rolling on the floor to apologize? So, like, how far? It's not that deep.
It's deep. Yeah.
So we with time we got to realize, and I think because of, by God's grace, our intentionality about our marriage and how to ensure that we get it right. My husband went ahead, he went to read a book, The 5 Languages of Apology. He went to get that book and he went to read it, and he understood what his his apology
language of apology.
Yes, language of apology was, and ease. And with that, he was able to actually tell me more about the book. The 5 Languages of Apology is written by Dr. Gary Chapman, by the way, and Jennifer Thomas. So it's a wonderful book. Please, if you can get your hand on it, that would be amazing.
If you're married, you should get your hand on the book. If you're not married, you should also get your hand on the book, because it explains many of the things we're going to be talking about today and how that led to the discovery of our own apology language that has really helped us in marriage. I mean, like we said earlier on, if we struggle to handle conflict in marriage, we will soon, we will suffer that a lot in marriage. And you'll be shocked that there are some people who are 30 years in marriage, 40 years in marriage, and they are still struggling on managing conflicts, not just the conflict aspect of things, but apologizing correctly, such that even though somebody feels that they have apologized, the person that they apologized to still feels resentful, still feels bitter, hurt. Still feels hurt, and they are not able to make headway, and they don't know. They are just treating leaves and shoots, but the root is there that has not been addressed because someone has not apologized correctly.
Yes, and I just want to leave this out here, as a married man especially, because men are the ones that most of the time, not all men, but most of the time, and some women too, they have they find it very difficult, to apologize.
Yeah.
To apologize to someone actually brings you to a level of humility.
Yes, you have to really be humble.
Yes, and many men with their egos, they find it very difficult. Rather than coming down to say that they are sorry for whatever it is they have done, they try to deflect, they try to dribble, they try to, defend themselves, and even blame other people and blame something. And
they are doing so, you keep hurting.
Exactly. It's like you slap person once and you slap person several times again. Like, it's not it. So to have a successful marriage, to have a marriage that is enjoyable, that would last, not the one that you are enduring, but the one that you are enjoying, you have to there is no way
have to be humble.
You have to be humble, and there is no way you will not hurt each other. Sometimes, a lot of times, unintentionally. Again, because what we said, because of the differences between both of you. So it's important that you be intentional, make allowance to ensure that you apologize, even if you feel like you haven't done any wrong, but the fact that the person has felt hurt because of what you have done, you've got to go ahead and make peace. Like the Bible says in Matthew 5, Bible says that if you come that's not the one
come to the place of prayer.
Yes, if you come to the place of wanting to the altar, you want to offer your sacrifice, you want to God, and you want to pray and worship. Bible says if you remember that your brother feels hot, It feels hot. Your brother feels offended, by you. Leave your sacrifice there, leave your offering there, and go and reconcile with your brother. It's not a time to make to worship and lift up holy hands and give offering. No, reconcile with your husband, reconcile with your wife first of all before you now go ahead and watch. Exactly. So your prayers will not be hindered. So your prayers will be answered. So I thought I should just leave that there.
Very, 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 very true. So men or women, whoever, if you are the kind of person you are very egoistic. In fact, egoistic people can work in marriage.
To be very hard.
That marriage would either they are pretending to each other or whatever. It takes a lot of humility to have a successful marriage. A lot of humility.
True. That is so true.
Because to be able to yield, or adapt, or bend, or die to self, all of those things that God's purpose for marriage is, it takes a lot of humility.
Yeah.
A lot of humility and taking responsibility. So part of apologizing is taking responsibility, knowing that, okay,
I've messed up.
I've hurt this person. I need to, resolve this. I need to come down, bring myself down, not be dancing around it, and be hoping that it gets resolved one way or the other. Well, we used to do that in our early days of marriage. You just dance around the whole thing and hoping that, to be swept under the carpet. It may look like it. In fact, somebody may be listening to this and say, yes, so that's how we have been doing it in my marriage, and it's working. Don't be shocked. It's not working.
It's not.
It is not. So what appears to be swept under the rug or under the carpet for long, right? Listen to what's going on. That person is harboring it. And the more they harbor it, that's what the Bible calls the root of bitterness. So the hurt and the pain and the resentment begins to grow deeper and deeper. They may be laughing. They may be, it may look like you swept it under the rug and we are laughing again. And in fact, some people will say, our issues does not last more than one day. And it has not been addressed correctly, but the person keeps harboring it.
Because the person knows that, or your other partner knows that if they voice it out, that they're upset, you take it still that way. So they just keep quiet.
And they just want their peace.
Yes, they keep quiet.
But the day they will give it to you, it may be 10 years later. It may be 5 years later. I'm speaking from experience. It may be years or...
Which experience?
It's the experience. That's when they will recount everything you have done from day one. You just hear from you remember when we went on that first date that you did this and did that. That particular one did not happen, but between us, but I'm just remember when we did this? Remember when you all of a sudden you'll be hearing, remember the day you took out the baked beans and you'll be like wondering baked beans one by one. Exactly. But that person has been harboring it, and especially those people that are quiet. They are quiet. They don't talk too much. Like people like Ifeoluwa, for instance.
Babe, not this. Please, apologies if
it's because I saw her name and I saw her laugh like this. People are quiet, especially men that marry quiet wives, and you think you are just getting away with everything. They are not saying anything. They are not saying the day they will give you your receipts, that's when you will know that quietness doesn't mean stupidity. They know what they are doing. So to avoid such a thing in marriage, we've got to be very careful. Doctors.
Yes, now
we've got to be very careful in apologizing correctly, mending hearts.
And just to add on to what you said, I think also what you may not realize is because the person is building up lots of hurts and resentments and bitterness, and there is a deep root inside of the person which may not be very obvious. You may note that your marriage is not going smoothly, and that bitterness, that resentment, that hurt is affecting some other areas of your life. For example, your sex life,
intimacy.
Yes, intimacy. And because of what you have done, your husband or your wife is no longer able to, hasn't let go, hasn't still struggling to trust you back again because of the way you have betrayed them or you have hurt them, and because you haven't also come down to properly apologize. Like one event we were watching recently, and it was like I'm like, this big guy has messed up, just apologize already. I was getting like, he was still talking like, come on, just say sorry. And some guys don't even know that, and some people, they don't even know that
they're so insensitive.
Like you don't realize that you are just not doing the right thing. They are so ignorant also.
And they'll be carrying on as if nothing happened.
And like, oh, are you angry? Oh, why are you angry? I'm like, seriously, don't realize that what you have done is bad. So it requires a lot of emotional intelligence also.
It does.
So please, I think that's the whole idea of why we are doing what we are doing.
Yes, and we do hope that this would help many of us as well, to be able to become more intentional in our homes and our marriages, such that when there are offense, when there are issues of hurt and all of that, we are very intentional in the way we address them. So we want to jump straight into what we have learned over the years in terms of how to apologize correctly. The foundation of that learning and the change that happened in our marriage was that book by Dr. Gary Chapman, the 5 languages of apology. The 5 languages of apology. It was there that I discovered my own language of apology, and I was able to share it with my wife. And ever since then, of course, does not mean that we don't have issues. We do.
So we still have issues.
It just means that we've now learned how to apologize correctly.
Yes.
And if we come down, from our ego, from our big-headedness and high horse, then we can truly, humbly, apologize and address whatever hurts or offense in the room.
And so today we'll be using 2 examples for each of those 5 apology languages. The first one is just in a situation where
hypothetically speaking,
your spouse has lashed out on you, or you've lashed out on your spouse, you've yelled at your spouse for whatever reason. Maybe they were angry about something and they just shouted at you. So that's or you shouted at them. So that's example number one. Second example is say for example you forgot your spouse's birthday, or say wedding anniversary, whatever the case. You forgot that date, and you just didn't acknowledge it, and you just went happy-go-lucky day that you didn't realize.
My fellow men, this happens to some people a lot. It has not happened to me before. I don't forget it.
I've trained him well. Our 5 years of long distance relationship.
Who watch our last episode? You saw I was dishing out dates. I was just dishing out dates. March 14th, then it come, November, October, July 10.
He has got to cram it.
All my fellow men will be proud of me.
I know. I'm proud of yourself.
So those are the 2 examples that we're going to be using. All right, and we want to quickly talk about those 5 languages, and we'll go a little deeper into them and provide some examples based on those contexts that we have talked about. So let's go on the 5, shall we? Number 1, this is the most common one. This is the most common language of apology, and because of this, the way it's common, many of us tend to believe it is for everybody, and that is called expressing regret, which means saying I am sorry. I am sorry, but you don't just say I am sorry, you say I am sorry for this.
Yes.
Because in fact, the way we do it where I come from in Western Africa, where we come from in Western Africa, we just say something like sorry.
Sorry.
So that means sorry, but not sorry. You stepped on my toes. Sorry. That is not proper apology. That is not proper apology. So it has to be I am sorry. So it's not sorry where it doesn't have any form of ownership.
Yes. When you say I'm sorry, like you said, you've got to mention what you are sorry for. You've got to mention what you're sorry for. That apology language actually goes it's all about you expressing the emotion that the person feels by the hurt you have caused them. So you've got to express that you feel sorry for disappointing them. You feel sorry for letting them down. You feel sorry for what you have done, for doing this or for doing that. And when you apologize in this way, you've got to be making eye contact. Babe, I'm sorry that I let you down. You've got to make an eye contact. Your body language has to show that you are actually sorry.
You've got to be remorseful. In the words of my parents, when I was growing up, they really taught me that you have to be remorseful. You have to be sober. You have to show and demonstrate that you are sorry.
Yeah, not I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry now.
Sorry.
You know, like a fellow has said, "Shall take the sorry."
Exactly.
Sorry you want,
take. I've given you sorry.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a good way to apologize.
No, that's not a good way to apologize.
You haven't actually apologized.
Yeah.
No matter how simple that apology is, you haven't apologized. And you know, going back to our two examples, if you have sort of yelled at your spouse, for example, you know, you could say something about, oh, I wish I had never, you know, yelled at you. I should never have yelled at you, and I'm sorry that I yelled at you.
Yeah.
You know, it means that you're telling your spouse that you know, you're aware of what you did, you acknowledge what you did, and you wish you never did that. Okay, that I wish shows regret. Like I should never, you know, you did not deserve that.
It shows responsibility that you are owning what you have done.
Yes, you don't deserve that. So you have showed that I messed up. You know. Also, the other example where we said, okay, if, for example, you forgot your spouse's birthday or your both of his wedding anniversary.
People forget their spouse's birthday.
Like you don't know how it's happened.
That's a criminal offense. How can you forget your spouse's birthday? That's dangerous. Yeah, so if you forget your spouse's birthday, yes, how should we apologize?
Yeah, you can say something like, "Oh, I'm sorry that I forgot your birthday. I don't know how I forgot it.
I can't believe I
forgot it. You know, like you mean so much. You mean the world.
And you have to mean it too, of course. Don't add drama.
You're like, babe, you mean the world to me. I can't believe I forgot your birthday. What was I even thinking? Yeah. You know, like you've got to show that
you truly understand what you've done.
A deep sense of, you know, remorse. Must follow that word. I'm sorry.
Don't now. You know, some people, if they've forgotten, for instance, already 10 p.m. midnight, 10 p.m. at night, and as I was just trying to surprise you. I like. You know that would, I mean, you didn't say anything since morning. You did not do anything. You now got to 10 p.m. Maybe that's when something now reminded you, and they are now telling you that you have hurt them, and you're not like, I was just waiting for.
Should we have now done it? Like, it's not good.
No. You are going to cause that person to be bitter and resentful for a very long time. Yes, you know. Esther Adebayo said it's a criminal offense. You go to jail for 1 hour. True, if you forget your spouse's birthday, as in, I don't know.
The birthday you should have been planning since like 1-2 months
which
ago.
Which court of education can you come and, you know, it does not work.
And if you're a man or a woman that doesn't pay attention to those details, I mean, it's okay to go and, if you know, you're not the kind of person. So don't just say, another kind of person. No, even if you're not that kind of person before, again, you've got to
be that kind of person.
Yes, exactly. So go and set a reminder, go on your calendar, do something that will make you to remember.
Be like me, set it like 7 days in advance. Do 7-day reminder, 3-day reminder, 2-day reminder, and 1-day reminder. You cannot miss
day reminder.
Yes, so
on the day
if you use a calendar app like an iPhone that I use, you can do 7 days, 3 days, 2 days, 1 hour to go.
And on the hour.
I have 1 hour to go. I was the first person to wish my wife happy birthday.
And on the hour to work.
Yes,
happy birthday.
No man, no woman will wish my wife happy birthday before me. For where?
Yes.
I've set my reminder.
Actually, last night I was like, because he was in the meeting, you know, at that time.
I was in a meeting, but from there I was wishing happy birthday. For where?
Correct. Sharp husband. You've got to be very thoughtful.
One has to be intentional.
Intentional and thoughtful about your spouse and about your marriage. If you want to make it work, you know, marriage is not so hard. You know, it requires a lot of intentionality. And if you are with somebody who is intentional, you know, like yourself, also both of you want to make it work. You know, it's not like you are working and a person's frustrating your work. You know, both of you are willing to make it work, and you are putting effort into it. It's going to work. You know, it's going to work by God's grace.
Amen. So that's the first one: expressing regret, saying I am sorry. You know, and this is very important. Like we've said, all those things. Don't just say sorry. I am sorry. Or, you know, or take your sorry, you know, or no. You want to make sure you express, you know, that regret. You want to make sure that you show that you're remorseful. You have to do all of these things to make it work. Number two is accepting responsibility.
Yes. So with that, it means that you do not play the blame game. You don't play the blame game. You don't play the blame game. I want to repeat that. Okay, you've got to own that offense. Okay, basically just say I was wrong.
Yeah.
Some people, if this is their apology
I was
language,
wrong.
they want to hear you say
you
that.
are wrong. You are
Yes,
wrong.
you are wrong. Don't say see, some people
If
say,
you did not do it, I would not have done it.
yeah, I'm like, what? What? I'm sorry. They'll say I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but if
It was you that cost.
yes. If you had woke, I'm sorry that I didn't want to wake you, but if you had done this, maybe I would have woken you up. If you had set the alarm, maybe I would have woken you up. If you have done this one, maybe I would have done. Like no. Once you start putting buts, if maybe
Forget it.
you've thrown the whole apology into the dustbin.
Yeah. You're no longer taking responsibility for that, for what you have done. Yeah.
Yes. It's more like, but if I hurt you, I'm like, I'm sorry if I hurt
If
you.
I hurt you.
I'm sorry if I did this. I'm like, what?
That thing gets me angry a lot. Like, I told you that I'm hurt, that you have hurt me, and then you now apologize. You're now saying, I'm sorry if I, like, if, what kind of, are we doing conditional code in here or conditional statement? Which one is not logic? No, it's not if.
Yeah.
You have hurt me. So
Yes.
when you are apologizing, say it quite clearly that I was wrong, or I'm sorry, not I'm sorry if. No.
Yeah, I'm sorry that I hurt you.
That
I was wrong.
Yeah.
I messed up. I should never have done that. So when someone said, like, when you start adding, when you say I'm sorry I hurt you, but
the moment you start adding but,
so it's just like you using a cursor,
apology has finished.
taking a cursor on that I'm sorry, and you highlight I'm sorry, and just press delete. Boom.
That's exactly what you have done.
Exactly. So that apology is no longer
Futile.
useful. It's futile. It's just nonsense. And when you say I'm sorry if I did this, it's more like you are saying, I didn't realize I didn't hurt you anyway, and I don't care if I hurt you. But if you're saying I hurt you, sorry anyway, like, should be one sorry anyway. So can we move on now? Like
that's the worst part. Some people say, "Can we now move on?" As in, excuse me.
That's exactly what you're saying. It's like,
as
okay,
if that
take your
person
sorry.
just put a switch in their
Yeah,
heart.
but it's more like, take your sorry. I've just said sorry. Yeah, take your sorry. And let us go. Let us.
No.
That's the way some people are.
Yeah.
That's what they say. They are. If I, it doesn't sound good
And
at
the reason
all.
why many people do not take responsibility is because maybe they came from backgrounds where they've never seen their parents take responsibility for anything. Yes. And because of that, listen, until you become intentional and like some of these things, some people are hearing this for the first time. All right. Some people are hearing this they don't know. No, they don't know. All their lives, they have witnessed their parents shrug off offense, shrug off hurts and pains, shrug off people's hurt, and swept it on that rug and carpet and blame the devil for what dad did, blame God for what happened, blame the weather for and all of that. So many people don't know.
Yeah.
This is where, if you want to have a successful marriage, what we are sharing, if you want to have a kingdom marriage, that's where what we are sharing then comes in, where you lay down your ego and you learn this thing. So you become intentional. You set a reminder on your phone. You put it a calendar request, something that reminds you every day how to properly apologize to your wife. Later, towards the end,
that's what he does actually. He's always good
it's
at
part of
setting
being
reminders.
intentional. It's part of being intentional. So that later on, when we talk about how to discover your own apology language or your spouse's apology language, then you're able to quickly make note. Oh, this must be the reason why I hardly get my apology across to my husband or to my wife. And then you make note of it and you make reminders of it, and you are intentional next time there's conflict to apologize correctly. You'll be amazed at how it works if you do that.
Yes. And if we go back to our two examples, remember the first example is, imagine you yell at your spouse. And the second example is, imagine that you forget your spouse's birthday or your wedding anniversary. So let's go to the first example. If you're going to speak this apology, apology language, you could say something like, "Oh, babe, I was very angry. I should never have yelled at you. You don't deserve that. And I'm very sorry for yelling at you." So it means that I acknowledge that what I did was wrong. I should never have done that. You don't deserve that. I was angry. It's not you made me angry.
True.
You made me angry. If you did not say what you did, I would never have shouted at you. You were the cause. You're the reason why I shouted at you. again, you are not owning, you're not taking responsibility. You're not owning that offense.
Yeah.
Okay, you're blaming the other person for making you to shout. It's your action, right? You must take that responsibility.
Yeah.
Right. And then the other one is if you forgot your spouse's birthday.
Birthday,
You're like, oh, babe, I'm so sorry that I forgot your birthday. I have no excuse at all. I was wrong for forgetting your birthday. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You know, you don't begin to say, oh, it's because work has been so busy. I've been so busy
Life
at
has
work.
been so stressful.
I've been very sick. You shall look for something to say. Some people are full of excuses. They will find an excuse.
Yeah.
I mean, I always like to tell people, excuse your excuse. Like, you've got to find an excuse to excuse. Don't stop giving excuses.
Yeah.
Just accept that you have messed up and then mention
apologize
it and move on.
Correctly. This is very important. And of course, like we still have 3 more to go. You can combine some of this in your apology as well.
Yes.
But
at the end,
try to know the one that your spouses, that's your
primary one,
apology language, so that you can truly address what they are looking for in your apology. Number 3, genuine repentance. Genuine repentance, and this is that your apology is that person needs proof, that you are working towards changing.
Again, speak for yourself now, babe. So, this time to speak.
So this is my apology language. If you apologize to me and you don't demonstrate that you have taken intentional steps to not hurt me that way again tomorrow, in my own opinion, that apology is not complete. So to tell me I'm sorry is, for me personally, is not enough.
It's not enough.
To tell me I was wrong is not always enough. It is when you now come and say, oh, I'm sorry. I have made sure that tomorrow, next time I have set a reminder. Oh, next time I have, told the children so that, something like this. Or, you have to show that you're not going to hurt me again next time. For some reason, I think I've been wired in such a way that I'm always scared that you would repeat it again, and not necessarily scared, but like I feel like that person will repeat it again because, that hurt, especially if it's something that happened a few times, all right? That person is probably taking me for granted. That's the way I'm looking at it. So you need to now show me in your apology that you have taken steps to make sure that it doesn't happen again. That is when I feel that you're actually genuinely sorry. Until then, sorry, I'm sorry. All those things, they don't naturally work for me. They don't naturally. Because I personally, which is very interesting, whenever I'm apologizing, I realize that I'm intentional about letting the person know how I'm not going to repeat that thing again. So, by default, that's what I personally do. I begin to set reminder, set calendar, and I start to tell you, I've said this, I've done that, because that's what I expect as well. So it's really important that if your spouse's love language is genuine repentance, that you actually put things in place and let them know that you have put things in place to make sure they're not hurt again next time.
Exactly. Yeah. So he said it all already.
So you need that assurance.
It's nice when someone whose apology language, is that they say it's if you feel them.
The real key is that words are not enough. Words are not enough. I'm sorry is not enough. I was wrong is not enough. What have you done? What are you doing?
What will you do? So it goes up to you've got to be, number one, like I said, you've got to be intentional. You've got to make plans about how you will change that attitude, that behavior, and you've got to now show that you have changed or you are changing and you will change, whatever it is that your spouse has expressed that they don't like or they are hurt by. And you've got to voice it also. You've got to voice it to them so they know that you are working on it or you will work on it.
Like that example of forgetting your spouse's birthday. You've got to say something like, oh my goodness, wow. Okay, you can bet I won't forget that next year. In fact, I have now marked it on my calendar. I've set the so reminder. You need to show and demonstrate that next year it's not going to happen again. Because if you don't demonstrate that person begins to feel like, are you taking me for granted? On the other example where you lashed out at, in anger, you can say something like, I'm afraid that I'll do this again, and I don't want to. Help me think of ways to avoid blowing up like this in the future. Like, you're literally asking for help in this,
because it shows that you actually don't want to repeat that that behavior, that lashing out, you want to change.
Yeah.
You are seeking help to change, and your spouse realize, okay, this person doesn't want to. Yeah, they acknowledge that they've messed up, okay, and they don't want to do it again. So how can we work together again? Because sort of you are a team.
Yeah.
You are a team in this marriage.
Yeah, and that's awesome. So number four is making restitution.
Yeah, I like this one too. It's not mine, but I like it. I like it. So basically, making restitution is all about you saying, what can I do to make it right? What can I do to make it up to you?
Yeah.
I've messed up. How can I prove my love to you? How can I show that?
Buy me a house.
That was deep.
Buy me a car.
On top of this apology. I was scared.
Your hurt has hurt me.
To the point I need a new house. Oh, God. I can't live in this house anymore. It's traumatizing. Oh my God, that's a deep apology, man. God help you have somebody that can buy you a house. But I like that. But it's beautiful because that apology is like you being given a blank check.
Yeah.
And then you feel your check into whatever it is that you want. How can I prove my my love to you? And again, this is tied to you also learning to speak the person's love language. Because when you are apologizing to the person, who you want to prove that you still love them, you want to prove that they still mean the world to you. And so when you go about speaking their primary love language, when you are making it right, then it means the world to them. So you've got to combine. It's you're making restitution, but at the same time you are showing that you love them. They mean so much to you in that process.
Whatever it takes, you are willing to do. So that's the language there, that you are someone that takes the lead in a situation, and you are willing to do whatever it takes, to make sure that they are no longer hurt.
Yes. For example, the guy that forgot, or the girl that forgot, the lady that forgot, your spouse's birthday. What can I do to prove my love to you, baby? And you are looking into their eyes, because when you're communicating something, we're talking about a language, right? A language of apology. It's all about communication also. And when you're communicating, your thoughts, your desires, whatever it is, you've got to ensure that you're looking into their eyes all the time. Because when you are looking away, it's like this person is not
serious.
Yes, or they're telling lies, or they don't mean what they are saying.
Someone who looks away from you when they're making an apology, you can't easily trust them.
Yeah, or they're doing something else while they apologize.
Or sometimes, maybe in our culture, some people is because they are ashamed and all of that, but you need to show remorse with that.
Yeah. So you could go ahead, look into their eyes, hold their hands, let them know, babe, I'm sorry that I forgot your birthday. What can I do to prove my love for you? How can I make this right for us? You're showing that you want to be present. You're there.
And you want it resolved. You really desire that it resolved.
Yes.
So with those examples, right? Those examples of whether you forgot your spouse's birthday and all of that, then this is where you say, what can I do to prove my love for you?
Yes.
Very, very important. And if on the other one where you lashed out in anger, you're saying something like, what can I do or say to make things right between us? What you are doing is you are letting the person know that you are willing to work things out, and you want to make restitution.
You want to make restitution.
Lastly, number 5, right?
Requesting forgiveness. Yes, requesting forgiveness. This might sound like, after all, I said sorry automatically. You should forgive me now. You should forgive me. Some people, if this is their apology language, you've got to ask for the forgiveness. So it's more like, I'm sorry, I've done this and this to you.
Please forgive me.
Yes, could you please forgive me? Would you find a place in your heart to forgive me?
Yes.
It requires you again coming down, and being humble and giving them the power, the control to choose whether or not they want to forgive,
and how long it will take for them to forgive
you. Exactly. So some people, you haven't apologized until you actually ask them to forgive you. And it's important for you to know that if this is your spouse's love language, apology language, you've got to actually request that forgiveness. So
in your apology, or should we say, your apology is not complete until you have said, please forgive me.
Yeah.
Yes. Or could you please forgive me?
Yeah.
You have to say that. They need to hear that.
Yeah.
Right? So, but if you don't say that, they don't feel like you're actually truly
you
remorseful.
mean it. And can I just say something about this? When you request forgiveness, again, I know the Bible tells us that we should forgive, like our Father forgives. But also it's important for you to realize that the extent of your the offense. For example, a person
the gravity.
Yeah, the gravity of your offense. A person who lashed out at their spouse, or a person who forgot the spouse's birthday, or a person who their spouse cheated on them. These are different levels of offenses. And it will take some time for the other person who feels hurt, to whether forgive easily or
to get over it.
Yeah, it takes some time to heal and move on. And some people, they may not be able to forgive you at that instant.
Yeah.
So it could take some time for them to fully let go. And you who has offended the person, you must be willing to wait.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you have to be willing to wait.
Yes, you have to be willing to wait to until that person is ready to actually let go and say, okay,
I've forgiven you.
Yes.
And it doesn't mean because you asked, they will forgive you instantly. You are not demanding forgiveness.
Yes.
You are asking for forgiveness. You are requesting for forgiveness.
Yes.
And that means they now have the right, the room to wait until they heal. All right. So for instance, somebody who cheated on their spouse, that might take months.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might take
They may
months.
say they have forgiven you, but again, it could take lots of time for them to heal. And someone who has cheated on their spouse, for example, you could come back home, for example, let's assume that the husband cheated on his wife. The husband could come back home very late, and the wife is like, oh, why are you just coming at this time? And you're already and the husband is already like, why are you asking like a question? So she is responding because you have betrayed her in the past.
Yeah.
You've hurt her. You've told lies about where your whereabouts in the past, and so she's demanding, where have you come from? So you're lashing at her and you feel like, why can't she not trust you? No, you're
reopening the wound.
Exactly. You've got to be ready to accept whatever comes. That's the consequence of your action.
Yeah.
Even though she's forgiven you, it's still going to take some time to heal and to rebuild the trust that she has lost in you.
Yeah.
So you've got to give her that room.
And
you've got to be also consistent with your behavior in order to earn that trust back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or end the forgiveness, so to speak.
Yes.
I love what Semalibe was put on our YouTube comment. She said, don't be offended that someone is taking time to forgive. There are some people who now become offended because of that. She said, you cannot force forgiveness.
You can't force forgiveness. You can pray about, God, please help my husband, help my wife to forgive me. And when the person actually tells you that they've forgiven you, you need to find out, now that you've forgiven me, does it mean that we are, I've earned your trust back? What does that mean? If it's a friendship stuff, does it mean that we are now back to being friends? Because some people will say they've forgiven you, but they don't want to be friends with you anymore. They've forgiven you, but they don't want you to have they don't want you to have anything to do with. I've forgiven you, but day your day and I'll day my day.
Sit and say you have not forgiven me. Is that how Jesus is meant to? Is that how, no? That's their they have that
that's the prerogative.
It's a prerogative. Depending on how much hurt they feel, how long it's going to take them to heal. That's
some people don't want to be hurt again, and so they give you that distance. Like in friendship and stuff like that. But in marriage, I just want to encourage as many people who may be hurt and all of that. In marriage, we would hurt each other. There's, this is the same person that there is no way. Unintentionally a lot of times. And it's important for us to be willing to forgive, make allowance for that forgiveness. In fact, if my husband, before he even hurts me, I've forgiven him in advance, and that's the truth. So when he's still like babe, that let's go, let's move on, because I honestly, I don't want us to continue to dwell on this. And sometimes the person might not even apologize, but
someone said a great marriage is a marriage between two forgivers. So
that's
it's
right.
extremely important that we learn to forgive in advance. If we're going to make the most of our marriage.
Yeah.
All right. So how do you discover your own apology language or your spouse's apology language, and then we end with this.
Yeah, sorry, before we go to that, we forgot to mention the the examples. Like if, for example, if you lashed out on your spouse, you say, "Oh, sorry, I should never have lashed out at you like that. Would you please find a place in your heart to forgive me?"
The example,
something like that. I know that you are hurt, but would you ever forgive me, baby, for forgetting your birthday? That way your spouse feels, oh, that's so sweet. You're asking,
and they may not feel because they're still hurt at that time. It's the truth.
True,
True. So allow them the time to feel the maybe later when they are thinking about it, at that time they may just even close the door and but they've heard that phrase, that sentence that they need to hear. If it's an apology language, and they will be the one most likely to come back, or maybe you would have to do it a few more times.
It could be you going on your knees, not just saying I'm sorry, not just saying please forgive me. Sometimes you have to speak all the languages, all of the 5 apology languages. You are saying please forgive me, would you please forgive me? You are telling them I was wrong, I messed up, I should never have done that. You're saying I'm sorry, I regret that I did what I did. You're taking responsibility. I'll make sure that I'm going to cut off from that lady, that guy. I've already cut off. Oh, I've quit that job. You are showing that you want to take responsibility, you want to change the behavior. And your spouse is seeing that change in your actions, in your behavior, your approach. So that's showing that you are genuinely sorry. Not that you say you are sorry and then tomorrow you are doing something like, but you're not really sorry. You're
not. So all of these things that we're sharing are very, very important. Please don't think like, the way I've been doing it works. No. We recommend that you and your spouse sit down together.
Yes.
Watch this podcast again together if you have to. All right, or listen to it again, depending on what platform, together if you have to, or go buy that book, 5 Languages of Apology, and read it together. Both of you have an understanding of what we are sharing, and then take the test. Like, there are a few questions. So to identify your own primary language, there are some questions to ask. To help discover someone else's, which is your spouse, there are questions to ask. Take the test, find out what your language of apology is. Tell your spouse, oh, honey, my language of apology. Like now, she knows my language of apology now, and I know hers. All right. So when we apologize, we know when we have not done it correctly. We know.
When we are still using ego to apologize.
Yes. We know. And then we also know when we have done it right. Because it just works. It just ticks that person's box, and we're able to move on. So when you do it together as husband and wife, and you sit down together, you know each other, then you can begin to practice it. You can begin to become intentional. So what are some of the questions to ask to identify your own primary language? So you have secondary, just like normal love language, to identify your own primary apology language. Number 1, what do I expect a person to do or say when giving an apology? What do you personally expect? Someone to say to you. Like, for instance, for me, what I'm always, it's like I'm looking out in all your apology, in all.
Have they said that they will not take it?
Yeah, there's one. I'm looking for that one phrase, one sentence that says something like, I have done this, so that
I will not repeat
it again. That it's like I'm circling. I'm waiting.
Sticking the boxes in the apology sentence.
I'm listening intently, not because I am just trying to prolong. No, but because that's what soothes my heart. That's what heals the pain. That's what resolves the hurt. Should I continue? Should I preach? That's what sort of does it for me, really. And there are people like that. All of these things we have mentioned, they are looking for that thing, and no matter how many I'm sorry you say, if that's not what you have said, if you have not really touched their heart,
the nail on the head, they do not feel like.
So number 2, sorry.
You said already, whatever it is that you want to hear, when people talk, that's probably your language of apology.
Number 2, what hurt most deeply about the situation? It is when you understand what hurts that you are able to sort of know, how you can, how someone needs to apologize to you, so that they'll be able to address that thing that is hurting
probably
you.
want them to mention it.
Yes.
The fact that they're not taking responsibility, the fact that they are blaming, it's not even because they did this, but because they're now blaming, that means your language of apology is probably you want them to accept or take ownership, to take responsibility.
Yeah.
They haven't taken that responsibility, they're blaming, and that's paining you, know. So that's probably
painful.
that's probably your own apology language, or maybe because they're not ready to, they've not sure that they want to make it up to you. You just said sorry, but you expect that they should give you flowers now. You expect that,
Yeah, exactly.
that shows that they're actually sorry.
Yeah.
Or they should send you, a credit in your account.
Yes,
you're like, oh, you've not really said sorry. That is pinning you.
Yeah, and sometimes it might be okay to actually communicate this to your spouse in the middle of that, conflict, and say, you have not done this. You say you have apologized. I hear you, but
this is remaining.
Yeah, this is remaining.
So apology is
so that they know that this is how you would love to be apologized to. And if you're watching us, your spouse have said those kind of things before, that only even you say you have apologized, but you have not said I'm sorry. You have not said forgive me. You have not said, and then you can tell that that's probably my
your
spouse's
apology.
language of apology. So how do you then discover your spouse's love apology language? You can flip some of things we've said around. Describe an apology of someone, then ask him or her to comment on what is lacking in that apology. So if you apologize or something like that, I say, but when you did it, I said this, I said that. So what's missing? So that they can tell you what's missing.
That's probably their apology language. But that person has not said this. Are they not sorry? That's probably
Or maybe you are watching a movie
pointer
together, and you are somebody apologized to somebody, and you saw that for you it's okay. No, and your spouse keeps saying no, that's not okay. They have not done this. They need to go and now buy flowers, or they need to give this. Then you can start.
You can feel
the language of apology. And when you can pinpoint it, conflict becomes easier to manage. So what hurts the most about the things you did? So flip the questions around.
And then you can get.
And you're able to get it right. Dare I say here, or dare we say, that it's also important to teach our children these languages of apology. Yes, I know.
True.
Yeah, I know that we're talking about husband and wife here, but we need to teach kids how to apologize correctly. In fact, let's teach them the 5 languages. All right, so that our kids can learn how to be sober, remorseful, reflective when they have hurt their parents, or they have hurt their friends, or they have hurt other people. All right, so let's learn to teach our kids. You can do a few sessions with your kids over and over. Because as parents, sometimes we also want our kids to own their mistakes.
Not to play the blame game. Because these kids are the same people who will grow up and become
with
husbands, become wives. And if they haven't learned these things, how would they implement it?
So let's teach our kids.
Yes, let's teach our kids, and let's also model it to them, because that's what is the most important.
If you offend them, apologize.
Some parents can never apologize to their children. Like, why?
It's because some of our parents would never apologize to us. That's why. So we pass it down.
But that's why you've got to be intentional. You cannot live your life the way your parents live their lives. This is your own life. You can't continue in a pattern. Exactly, a traumatic pattern. No, you've got to make a change. You cannot continue that horrible generational nonsense. It's I'm sorry, but with
all due respect to all the fathers and mothers that never apologize.
But it is not right. It's not right. When as a parent,
my father never apologized to me. Don't expect an apology.
No, it is totally wrong. It is totally wrong. Again, it puts you as this, unless you are this patriarchal kind of. It is not.
No, it's just
I offend my children from time to time. Not intentionally. Or maybe I raise my voice at them. I'll go back. Sometimes it's what is even happening to me. Maybe I'm feeling stressed, and I'll unintentionally take it out on them
or something.
And I realize, see, Blessing, these boys, they did not do this thing I wanted. It's not their fault that you are exhausted or you are stressed. They don't give you work to do. So stop taking out the stress. Like, I'll go back. Shameless, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have,
lashed out
like that. I shouldn't have. I'm so sorry. Okay, and I'll give me a hug. I shouldn't have done that to you. Or I shouldn't have said this words to you. I'm just feeling stressed. And and that's it. That's it. So
Yeah.
when you are able to apologize, them too, when they mess up, they will find it easier
Yeah, because you've
to
modeled
apologize.
it.
Exactly, to apologize, and to apologize to other people also. It won't be like
Yeah.
a big deal, you know. I cannot apologize. Nobody apologized to me, so I cannot apologize to anybody. You know, it's just not right.
Yeah, one of my parents never apologized. My dad never apologized. Really, some people that their dad is their mentor, or that they do everything their dad did or did everything their mom did.
It is so wrong. My parents are wonderful. Again, your parents are wonderful, but it's not everything that they got right.
Yes.
You know, and so pick the right things, you know, and work on the things that you can improve on.
Yeah.
That's how you become a better parent.
Yeah. Very important. And we have a question here. So we'll take this question and we'll end today's episode. It says, what happens when you ask for forgiveness for offense you are sure of, and the person says you didn't offend me? Does it mean your spouse is not ready to forgive you? So you believe you hurt someone.
Yeah.
You now ask for forgiveness.
Yeah.
And the person says you didn't offend me.
I'm fine.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
there are a few things that could be happening there. Number one of them could mean that person is not yet ready to maybe process the offense.
Yeah.
Yes, they're not ready to deal with it yet. Maybe for them it's feeling a bit too much at that particular instant. And like that's what we talked about the other time. You've got to allow them the time to come to terms with what you have done. Number two could also mean that you are not apologizing correctly to them. They don't feel your sense of remorse enough yet, so they're just saying, I'm fine. I'm fine, and they're just using that as cover. So you need to find ways. So like all of these things we have shared today, you need to try out, perhaps all of them in one way or the other until you reach that place where you're able to touch their heart and they can feel that you are truly, truly remorseful. Or the third thing could just mean that truly maybe they don't feel offended.
Yeah.
If you can see it in their eyes and the way they gesture and they're not sweeping it under the rug.
Carpet,
it may just be that they are actually not offended.
Yeah. And to add to what you said also, I think it's also important for you to maybe find a time where both of you can talk about what you did, and just ask a few questions about how it's made them feel, what they think about it. So you forget about the apology now, and the reason why you're asking those questions is to sense or understand what the person thinks about the whole situation.
How they feel about
yes, is that the person has been offended like that a number of times, so what you have done is no longer like a big deal.
That one is dangerous.
So it's more like you just want to understand their perspective, how they see that's what you have done, and understand where they are coming from, because when you understand why they don't feel hurt, then that
can help address.
That will give you a sense of, okay.
Some people have felt they've now become numb to your actions. They become numb to your actions.
Yes,
and that's dangerous.
Yes, so you want to understand, you just want to assess the whole situation basically, and understand why they feel the way they feel, or why they don't feel the way they feel. Why they don't feel that way. And that will give you a better perspective into whether or not they are truly offended or they are not truly offended, and then you will know how to proceed going forward.
And that's thank you for asking that question, Jacinta. I believe that has probably addressed a lot of other things. All right, with that, we have come to the end of today's episode on how to apologize correctly to your spouse. We believe very strongly that this has added value to you. You picked up one or two things that can now help you better your marriage, resolve conflict, and be a more intentional spouse.
And if you have not subscribed to our channel, what are you waiting for?
It is completely free.
Just hit that subscribe button. Leave a comment for us, please. If you're going to watch the replay, also leave a comment. What do you think about this? What we have shared, what you have watched, what you have listened to. Feel free to share this to your friends, your church WhatsApp group. Because it's going to help a lot of marriages. Many marriages are in conflict today because one person has refused to apologize, one person is strong-headed, and all of those things. So people need to be educated, people need to learn, and that's why we do what we do. So you just may help save a marriage by
and there are
doing
some
that.
marriages that look okay
but they are not
the root
okay.
of bitterness is there, and this is what they need to hear, to
Yeah.
learn, to know, to help them get better. And if you're yet to be married, these are some of the things you need to learn in advance. Probably
True.
if you have a relationship right now, buy the book now and begin to learn some of these things so that you can appropriate these things in your marriage. Okay, don't swing it. Don't wing it.
Wing it, yeah.
Do it right.
Yes.
Okay? Thank you very much, everyone. And of course, if you want us to come to your church, that just came to my heart. If you want us to come to your church, anywhere you are, all over the world, you want both of us to.
We will come
to bring any of this episode directly to your maybe couples dinner, couples
retreats, anything.
Book us in this year, fly us down. Give us correct accommodation.
We'll be there.
We'll be there in the UK, in the US, anywhere. We'll be there. Don't call us to Afghanistan yet. Let the Holy Spirit minister to us in that one. All right. Love you, everyone. God bless you. Have a good rest of the day wherever you are. It's a joy to come your way.
God bless
Bye-bye.
you.